first thing I wanted to just mention is my mom is from Cape Town, and I've been there many times. So
Cool.
I actually just in April was the last time, and so my first question was just that I really have appreciated over the last few years how sort of your significance there has grown. People talk about, there's only a few South Africans that I think internationally everybody knows, and they're very proud of it. So I know about your impact there. How has South Africa though kind of impacted you as a
Well,
person?
it's who I am. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that in those formative years where you grow up, it says a substantial amount about who you are, and I think those are your formative years, and that's where you build your character. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm very much aware that that's very much a part of me and in my blood and in my bones.
And just leaving South Africa for the first time, I guess I was reading that originally it was for modeling and dancing, sort of going abroad. I just wonder if you could sort of summarize connect the dots, how dancing and modeling in a way led to acting.
Well, I was always a dancer. I started ballet when I was 4 years old, and flamenco, and I went to an art school in Johannesburg, and I really excelled at dance, and that was my dream. That's all I wanted to do, was to just dance all over the world for different dance companies. And at 15, my mother and a friend of mine decided it would be a funny thing to send a photo of me to this modeling contest, and I ended up winning the modeling contest, and the prize was a 1-year modeling contract in Milan. So at 16, I left and traveled all over Europe as a model.
And then, as far as the dance, I heard there was sort of like a bad injury or a series of injuries that led to that.
Yeah, it's just a long period of a lot of weight on my knees, and ballet it really impacts your knees. There's a lot of kind of put your knees through it, and it was just years of just being way too tall and having too much weight on my knees that made me have to retire when I was 19.
And if what I've read is correct, it seems like there was a period where that would be a little depressing if that's what you'd always wanted to do. And so how did it come about, I guess, that your mom said, go for the acting?
Yeah, you just don't think about, I think when you're that young, you just don't think about alternatives, because you're just kind of living exactly what you want to do, and you think you're invincible, and you think everything is going to last forever. And I think I was just in that constant state when I was a dancer. And so when that career was eventually over, I was living in New York in a basement of an apartment with no windows, and it was the month of December. It was freezing winter. It was snowing, and my mom flew out from South Africa because I was in bad shape, and basically, 8 gallons of ice cream with me, and we watched tons of crappy movies, and then after 3 days of that, she was like, "All right, like, get over yourself, like, figure it out."
Right.
And I really needed a kick in the butt to kind of figure out what it was that I could substitute what I loved so much. And I had to kind of go through some kind of an analyzing process, and it's when I realized that it was really storytelling that I loved. My mom really was the one that connected the dots, so that says a lot about her and her parenting skills and how she was kind of tapped into what I liked. And so she was really, I have to give her the credit, she was the one who was either smart enough or stupid enough to suggest a one-way ticket to Hollywood. Either way, I'm really grateful.
I read a funny thing that your ticket, I think, said Los Angeles. Is that the start?
Hollywood. No, it said Los Angeles, and I was like, no, Hollywood. Yes, that sounds so white trash down, doesn't it? I mean, you have to understand, we're all the way down there on the map. I did not know the difference.
So when you got out to LA/Hollywood, what were those? I mean, I know that after about 2 weeks, I read that's when it started to happen. But for those early days, I mean, it's got to be intimidating to go out there with not knowing anybody. I would assume, not really having all that many resources.
Yeah, this is the amazing thing when you're young. You just don't. I mean, now if I did it, I would be scared out of my wits. And there's something, I think nature gives us this capability at that age to not to think about things too clearly. I mean, it really is. It's a fearlessness that you have at that age that you have to almost watch for it so you don't lose it, because the older you get, the more you kind of, I think, grow out of that, and you become a little too cautious about the world. that kind of freedom of just doing things. Like you lose a sense of that. And at that age, I know there was just this. Everything was an adventure, and everything was just had tons of possibilities, and every day was just a kind of my oyster. I was just like, you know, at 19 going, all right, world, what do you have? Like, let's do it.
Right.
So if I did it now, I would wake up every morning and go, oh my God, like how am I getting through this day?
Right.
But back then it was just amazing.
And so the way that things got going in a way for you is really amusing, and I wonder if you could share the story just of the bank encounter.
Oh,
I'm sure you've had to do it a million times, but it is pretty funny.
I was cashing an out of state. It was a New York check,
Yep.
and I didn't have a bank account in LA, and I was staying in a hotel, and I had to pay my rent. And because I wasn't a citizen and I didn't have an account in LA, they wouldn't cash the check because it was out of state. And you know, I was going to get kicked out that night, and it was, you know, these are the moments when survival kind of kicks in, and I love how people write about it. Like I was like some rich Fifth Avenue like bitch that was just like, no, you will cash my check now. And more, it was like, you know, it was like a horrible British play, you know, like please, you know, just desperation and just pure survival and just a real understanding that if I didn't get that money, I was sleeping on the streets. And you know, I'm so glad for all of those moments. Those are the moments that I think kind of build you. But this gentleman behind me was just trying to be helpful, and he ended up figuring out a way for me to cash the check. And then at the end of the conversation, it turned out that he was a manager. He was a manager, my manager, just for a few years.
Well, and it was interesting because that kind of I read a lot of other interviews that you did to prepare for this, and you talk about how some of those early roles and opportunities were focused more on exterior, you know, the looks of the character and all that, and that in a way that was part of why you parted ways with that gentleman. And so I just wonder, how do you break out of that? Because I think that it's almost held against you to be very beautiful when you show up in Hollywood, because there's so many. How do you separate yourself at the beginning?
I don't think that there's one way. I think that it's a very particular thing and it's a very personal thing. And I think actors really kind of, I think, have a true awareness of the careers that they want. And you have to listen to that. You can't, that's why I never judge. I know a lot of actors who really have made it, like, the decision to have the careers that they have. And it's not necessarily the career that I would want for myself, but I amend them for the fact that they did it the way that they really wanted to do it. And you have to listen to that, because this is not, otherwise you could be doing a job that you're not passionate about. If it's not something that you're passionate about, then it's just work. And I think what's so great about this is that you can actually do things that really drive you in an artistic manner where you, I feel so blessed that I don't ever feel like I'm really working. So I had to listen to that, and you know, you're right. I had nothing to back any of that up with, and so I can understand where he came from when we parted ways, because creatively we just didn't see the same career. You know, I'm sure there was a part of him that just went, "Who the hell do you think you are? Like, little farm girl with a South African accent. Good luck to you." Like, you know, but. I had a pretty strong sense of myself, and I have to give my mom a lot of credit.
I was going to say, where does that come from, do you think?
My mom.
Yeah.
I think my mom really always encouraged me to kind of listen to that voice, and never kind of guided me towards something. Just always encouraged and was helpful and kind of providing for whatever that urge was or that artistic need at the moment. And trust me, there was a lot of waking up and going, you know what? I want to be a nice skater. Like, you know, I'm sure a lot of parents would have just been like, shut up. But she was just very in tune with that, and so whether it was politics or religion, or my mom always encouraged me to have my own opinion. And I think you, as a child, get a pretty good sense of who you are when you get encouraged to trust your instinct. And my instinct was telling me something different. And yeah, I mean, there was nothing. I guess there was a part of me. There she is, the old lady. Speaking of the devil, she's scary like that. Look at her. She knows I'm talking about her. She's like, she's like, oh, we're gonna get you. anyway, yeah. So I had to, again, it wasn't like I was thought out process. It was maybe much more from the gut and instinctual. And if I look back on it now, yeah, what was I thinking? Like I should have probably just been thankful to have been in some crappy movie.
Well, what was in a way the breakthrough, the turning point? I know the first thing that I remember seeing was Devil's Advocate. I just remember hearing, I can't even remember the precise scenario, but I remember you talk about your ovaries and some like crazy thing. But I think that's
a lot about you, my friend.
Yeah, I guess so. But it, like that popped for, I think that was the first one that really popped, right?
Yeah, I mean, it felt like the first like serious,
yeah.
where I couldn't sleep at night, and I was like working with Al Pacino and like these massive stars, and Taylor Hackford was just such a lover of actors, and it was the first. I was like, I'm playing with the big boys now, I mean, I feel very lucky how my career kind of evolved, and everything kind of felt like it unfolded the way it was supposed to unfold. The way 2 Days in the Valley came to me, and then that thing you do with Tom Hanks, and like everything just felt so. But definitely, that's the movie. Devil's Advocate is definitely the movie where I think it was the first time that people didn't see me as just, I wasn't the pretty girl in it. I wasn't just doing that. And it was also the first time that I got to kind of stretch my muscles and fly a bit as an actor, and had a director that really encouraged that.
I read that you, at the time, supposedly, apparently Al Pacino said to you, I want to read it back, quote, "If I knew that my life would be under this kind of scrutiny, I would never have become an actor."
Yeah.
Is that something that made sense to you then, or makes more sense to you now? I mean, how do you, now, what is it now, 14 years later, lots happened. Do you feel that, the celebrity aspect of all of this something that you can tolerate?
I couldn't fathom it then, but I think that was purely because I couldn't get my head around not having someone like Al Pacino in our industry. I think that was the thing that I was just like, that would have been such a shame if we never had Al Pacino in this business. And I do understand it, though. I mean, I do think I almost don't like to talk about it that much because I don't want to jinx it.
Yeah.
I don't know how I've gotten away with what I've gotten away with. I mean, I've made it pretty clear how we feel about it. It's not a lifestyle that I've subscribed to, but I also know people who don't, and they really get hassled quite a bit. And I've made as much as I can control that stuff, a lifestyle for myself that really does not become a part of that. But there's only so much that you can really do. But I do what I can to not be a part of that, and I do feel like I've been fortunate.
Well, I promise I'm getting to young adult, which I definitely want to ask, but I just think it's neat to kind of just talk about the evolution. And so after Devil's Advocate and pre-Monster, which I guess would be the next like elevation, elevated step, what stands out? What do you feel was the most important? Not, I guess it's hard to compare, but in a way, like, helped to solidify you as that serious, dramatic actress that somebody, I think Patty Jenkins said it was Devil's Advocate that brought you to her attention for the first time, but I think other people, Cider House Rules and a number of the other stuff in between. So for you?
They were all, like I said, they were all important to me. I mean, they were all, I didn't really go to acting school, and so they were all like incredible, like the Cider House Rules, to work with Michael Caine and also Holstrom on that film was an incredible learning experience for me, and that film was challenging to do, and working with John Irving's writing, I mean the whole thing was really, I felt really fortunate to be a part of that project, and I learned a lot on that project, a lot. And then working with James Gray, like on the Yards was really, it was almost in a way another evolution of what I felt like on Devil's Advocate, where I was surrounded by these incredible actors, Ellen Bernstein, James Caan, Joaquin, Mark, Faye Dunaway. I mean, it was just every day I just thought to myself, you can't slap, you can't slap. And James Gray was an incredible teacher in my life. And even the bad ones, like I really have no regrets. I feel like they all they all were my teachers in some weird, bizarre way. You know, some teachers you like more than others, some you learn more than others. But I know that I wouldn't be an actress that I am today if I didn't experience all of that, because that was really, I've learned on the job.
And then, with regard to Monster, people talk about, first of all, did you guys ever expect, during the making of it, ever expect that it would go over as tremendously as it did?
No, we couldn't sell the film.
Really?
I mean, we were one day away from signing a contract selling the film to Blockbuster at the time, because we couldn't get distribution. And every distributor in town had seen it. We had shown it to every single, and I love these people who now come up and they're like, you know, I knew it was a great film, but I just financially we just weren't in a place. So I was like, financially, really? We were selling it for 2 cents. But yeah, it was really, really hard. It was tough because I mean, I don't think you can ever think that anything is going to emotionally tap into an audience. I mean, there's like, let me articulate that better. You feel like there should be, because you can't be the only human being that finds something interesting, right? But you don't assume, I guess. And I never assumed that people would respond the way they did. And also, you take a bit of a hit in the chin when you've gone through it. And look, making the film even, we were constantly doubting ourselves, because even our financiers at the time were calling us at 3 in the morning and telling us that the dailies were unusable and what were we doing, and they were going to fire us, and why am I so fat, and why am I not smiling, and like, you know, and it's a hard thing to go through that, because acting is a bit of it is a bit about confidence, and to kind of put yourself out there like that, you need somebody that can kind of say, no.
You're doing that right, yeah.
And Patty was that. I couldn't have done it without Patty. I mean, there were many moments where I just thought, this is ridiculous, what are we doing? And Patty just was such a clear vision of what she wanted to do, and so she was the most incredible partner to have. I mean, just this woman has balls, like incredible. I mean, but emotionally and artistically, she knew that world and that character so well. But no, we never thought that. So we were a day away from signing a deal, and then Bob Birdie called us at midnight and said, one of my films are going back into the editing room, and I have 6 months, so I'll take it right now. And
I know everybody rightly, you know, I guess just harped on the physical transformation, all the makeup and the teeth and did you shave your eyebrows for that one? And but it sounded like from these other articles, you hate that word transformation, right? It seemed like, especially when it was applied to the subsequent films, that you really weren't.
I used to not hate the word transformation. I do now. I feel it's misused.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that it's such a huge part of what an actor is supposed to do, but it's been used in a negative
with like North Country and Gila.
Yeah, I mean, even with Monster, you know, all that makeup wasn't really that much makeup. I mean, it's a transformation, but it's not prosthetics, and it's not, that's my face with contact lenses and shaved eyebrows, but I'm not wearing pieces of prosthetics.
Yeah.
My skin is like painted on, it's not, I mean, I get it. I got it with that film, but then I just felt like everybody kind of made such a big deal out of it, and it's hard because I think people think that you're just trying to pull a trick, you know, and I've never wanted to be that kind of actor. I've just always wanted to be as authentic as possible and as truthful. And I just subscribe to the idea that as an actor, you have to be an empty canvas, and you can't bring your own issues and your own ego to work. You have to kind of do whatever it is to service that story, and a lot of that is the physical aspect of it. I don't know how else to do it.
Yeah.
I wish I did, because it's not always easy.
Well, with young adults, it seems like you didn't do almost anything.
It wasn't like I was like, okay, you know what, it just wasn't called for.
Yeah.
I mean, there was nothing about this woman that made me go, oh, she's tired.
Right.
You know, she's a bit of a drinker, so she was hungover, but there was nothing, I mean, I'm not going to just do that stuff to be tricky about it. I feel like when I do it, it feels authentic to what I need to do in order to play the role. So in this case, I never even thought about it so much, and then people were like, wow, like you didn't even change your hair color, and I was like, but why would I?
Right.
It doesn't make any sense.
Right. With all of Jason's movies, it seems, as I think back about it, on paper, none of these central characters seem that likable. I mean, one of the cigarette lobbyist, a girl who wants to abort her baby, a guy who fires people, and then you. But I think that the others seem to have some sort of a redemption along the way. And Mavis, it's, you know, I guess at the end, after the crazy scene, you kind of understand maybe what motivated her to be the way she is. But do you feel that she, you know, is it different from those others in the sense that we're not meant to sort of want to hug her and, you know, celebrate her? I mean, that just seems to me. What did the New York Times guy wrote, the most unlikable protagonist in like many years or something? Is that a compliment, I guess, or is that, it's not a criticism, but is it something that you were gunning for?
I think that we all liked and wanted to, I don't want to speak for everybody, but I think I can say that all of us wanted to make this film because when we all read it, we felt uncomfortable in the behavior, but resonated with the humanness of it.
Yeah.
And I think that was important. I don't think to kind of gun out and set out to just do the most unlikable. I think in a way that's easy. Like, because when you take the human condition out of it, what is it really? It's just a caricature. But to show the not so attractive human attributes in a human way, where human beings are going, I know that, like I've done that, or I see that in myself, and it's not necessarily my proudest moment. It's not, you know, it's like holding a mirror and seeing the things that you might not like that much about yourself. To do that and to find the human being in that, I think there's a great challenge in that, and that's what we gunned for. I think we really tried to find the foundation of who this person was and why she was the way she was. And I do believe to a certain degree that I've never met someone in my entire life who has gone through a period in their life where they have kind of made this massive change in their life, where like most third acts of movies today. I mean, when I watch most of the third act of movies, I'm like, why does that never happen to me? Like, why do I always find myself in a position where either my mother or my friends go, why are you doing this again? Again, you're doing the same thing again. You know, there was definitely something that resonated with me in the third act, and I know that for me, that was why I wanted to make the film. And I know Jason as well, because when I said to Jason, if you can guarantee that the third act doesn't change and somebody doesn't step in and say, well, she has to learn a big lesson, then I'm totally there with you. Because I just feel very rarely, I think that like her, people come to a place in their life where they see the possibility for change, but they don't always take it. You know, and I think she totally sees it, she acknowledges it. She's like, I have a lot of problems, I need to change, you know, and all this stuff. And you know, how many of us actually make those changes in our lives? I don't know of anybody that makes massive, like, walk out of your apartment and a score kicks in and all of a sudden you're like a totally different person and you have the guy, you know, like, God, like, I wish I knew those people. I wish I was one of those people.
It's not that easy. Well, just the last thing is, Diablo has the Minneapolis connection and the writer as well. Is there any, beyond that, did she ever indicate there was anything more, that it was in any way semi-autobiographical? You know, obviously she's not, a lot of things are not in common, but I mean, I
hate to speak for people, you really should ask her, but I think from what I've gathered from interviews is that she just really loves Minneapolis. She likes writing. All of her movies pretty much take place in Minneapolis. And I think this is just really just moments and times and people and that she's known in places in her life. I think, but you should probably ask her.
I will. All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.